I now go back to my first days at school in 1935 after the Easter recess. And I've chosen a car for the picture because my first teacher drove an Austin 7 just like this one. And her name was Miss Collins. Miss Collins came every day to school all the way from Windsor, and she would take the turn off through Bray and then finally along the road into Cookham. Quite often she would see me walking to school, and she would stop and pick me up, and we'd ride together to school. The other thing that I wanted to do is to mention some of the children that I started school with around the same time. Of course, there'd be their single names. In other words, the girls would have their maiden names, but the maybe daughters or offspring from as they went, or their grandchildren, either their children or grandchildren, might recognize these names. The first one I've got is Joy Marjorie Deacon. And a matter of fact, later years I got to know her mother, because her mother was assistant to the domestic teacher at the top school, which is now a public junior school, but it was the secondary modern school, first of its kind in the country. And she helped the domestic teacher with the meal preparations and so forth. So that was Joy Deacon. Let's see, I've got to think now. Ronald Barker. Oh yes, I remember Ronald Barker, that's it. He lived in Georgian House in Maidenhead Court. And then there was one that wasn't in my class, but she was in the school, but we played together in a play, or were on the stage not at the same time. She was Snow White in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, which the school put on as a play in 1936, a year later. And her name was, oh goodness me, Elsie Hales. And she lived at next to the Clarks at 5 Hamfield Cottages. Yeah, I wonder where Elsie is today. And then there was another young lady in the same class as myself, Ruth Audrey Wadhams. She had a younger brother who came to school later, and his name was Ronald Wadhams. And then let's see if I can remember some. Joyce Honor. It seems I've got to remember all the girls, isn't it? Joyce Honor. And she lived in Graham Road. And you know, a lot of these children came from up along White Ladies Lane and so on. They walked to school. None of them rode. They all walked to school. And then, of course, there was a namesake, Colin Reginald Hatch. He was the eldest of the Building Hatch boys, and they were living, of course, on Lower Road. Let's see. Yes, there's somebody else that remember. Peter Cracknell. Now, Peter had an elder brother. Now, I'm trying to think what his name was. But anyway, his father was head gardener at Odney Club. Frank and Cracknell. And then, let's see, there was, oh goodness me, I wonder if I can remember anymore. Yes, Jim Packham. Now, Jim Packham lived up on White Ladies Lane, or what is White Ladies Lane. He had an elder brother, I remember, Jack Packham, the two Packham boys. And there's Gerald Effermy, who lived in Maidenhead Court. His father was a gardener. And Gerald went on to be a gardener quite renowned. The last I heard of Gerald, he was living in Surrey. And then there's anybody else that I can think of at the moment? No, I think that's about... Now, if anybody has relations that went to school, possibly I can remember them in the 1930s and the early part of the war. As evacuees and so forth that came and lived in Cookham. So, I hope this has been informative, but I'd love to hear from you, or especially if you have some old photographs of them, of their wartime or when they were at school. So, that's it. I hope you've enjoyed it. Bye for now.